Hi, Aston.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, so the reason I brought you here today is because I wanted to talk to you about what you do. So you have Homebase LA.
Yeah. I was in retail I've been doing retail for like 8 years now. Mm-hmm. And I just got to a point where I was sick of answering to other people. And I wanted to do something that was for people who had like-minded ideals like myself that were into functionality and design at a price point where it's affordable. I wanted to have things that are really nice and fun and functional for people. Maybe you're like starting to get into interiors but can't afford really upper price point things, but they can get like really good starters and basics and mid-level things. A couple months ago, I left my job to focus on this and try and kind of really put my whole effort into something that I'm passionate about. So I started Homebase, which will hopefully launch soon. Yeah, it's just a home goods store that's a mixture of vintage and new finds. Some of the accounts are wholesale, and then some are things that I happen to come across that I just think are really fantastic and I want to share with other people. So yeah, I just find certain things that are really aesthetically pleasing to me, and I think, well, I would want that. That's usually how I try and actually go about things, is I would think, would I want that, or would somebody like Michael or even yourself, would that be something that you would want in your house? It's kind of like my litmus test. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll get that done.
Let's say you find something and then you find the history or the background of that item.
Yeah.
How do you part with it? Because usually whenever I go thrifting and I find something that I love, you
that's
get
the
so
tough part.
attached.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Right now my mindset is, well, I'll just keep it in my house until it sells, and then I'll have to say goodbye to it then. But for right now, it's a temporary. It's like being a foster parent, but with items rather than dogs or people.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just put that on my hutch and it looks really nice for now until it sells, and then it'll get shipped off. I don't know. I just try not to get too connected to things. And recently, I've been trying to be a little bit more minimal with what I have in my house. I have this Arne Jacobsen stool that I only used to use for a plant stand. And now I use it when I'm in my Eames lounge chair and I'm doing work on Homebase or reading online. I'll use that for my coffee or to put a book on if I'm reading a book. Or now I use it as a nightstand to put my glasses on and to charge my phone on. Like, I'm trying to find things that have multi-purpose uses. It doesn't bother me as much if I come across something that's really special or really tickles my fancy, because I'm trying to get in the mindset where, okay, well, it's not really mine anyway.
So how do you go about finding these things? Like, or do you do a lot of research on certain designers that lead you to different designers?
Yeah. There a lot of it's on the internet. A lot of things I'll look up certain objects that I would want in my house, and then I'll find out who designed that object, and then I'll look more into that designer and see what else they've done and kind of explore those avenues. So I wanted a brass ashtray that was shaped like a hand. I just thought that was a cool idea, or a catch-all for like your rings or your keys or whatever. And I came across one on the internet that was designed by this Austrian ceramicist and brass designer named Walter Boss. After I found out who made it, I looked up what he had done previously, and I looked up all the other things that he had designed as well. And that just kind of created new avenues. And then once I found out about him, I found out about Hans Bowling, other designers that are within the same realm but are doing different things with different materials, or have like their own obviously different style or design to it.
You're originally from?
I grew up in Denver.
Yeah, and then Chicago?
Yeah, and then yeah.
Okay, and then to LA.
To LA 4 years ago this July. I mean, when I lived in Chicago, I was 24. Mm-hmm. Is the last year I lived there, 24, 25, something like that. No, I would be older. I'd be 26. When I lived there, you're just not in a place financially where you maybe know what's going to last a long time, or you don't have the money to invest in items that are worthwhile. So you buy furniture from like Target or IKEA because it's an easy fix. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that, but at some point you're going to want to, after you take that piece of furniture so many times to different apartments and you've moved so many times, you start to notice that it's not as reliable, or maybe it wobbles, or
Yeah.
The bolts aren't holding it together as well as they should have been or they once used to. So you start to get, the thought in your head of, well, I want to get something that's worthwhile and that's well made and it's special and I can keep it for myself or I can pass it down to somebody else in my family.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff I have now is stuff that if I ever do have kids, I want to pass down to them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things that are timeless. And that's why mid-century design is it's something I'm so passionate about because it was beautiful 50 years ago, it was beautiful 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's going to still be beautiful 50 years from now if you take care of it.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be useful and sturdy and functional.
But you know how like going back to like when you graduate a certain, like after IKEA, Target furniture or like thrifted furniture.
Yeah.
So like once you get to a financial state where you can afford higher price items.
Sure.
Like let's say you're looking for a couch.
Mm-hmm.
What made you choose the couch that you have rather than like an industrial, refurbished, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Steampunky type of couch. Like
Totally.
What steered you in that direction rather than...
The shop that I used to work at, we used to have this really beautiful, I don't know if you ever came in when we had it. We had this really beautiful mossy green mid-century leather couch.
No, I've never seen it.
And I used to bring my dog to work often, and he would always lay on that couch. And when we would get bored at the shop, we would rile him up, and he would run around the store and jump onto the couch. Mm-hmm. And between that and like children coming in and playing on the couch, and people coming in and sipping their coffee on the couch, it would have all these scratches and these stains, and it aged and patinaed so beautifully that it just made me want to get this leather couch that showed age and it showed experiences and it showed memories in it from certain things. Like if you spill on your leather couch, to me it's not something that's worth getting upset over, because to me that's a memory that you're going to remember later on 5 years from now. You're going to be like, oh, that time Michael came over and he tripped and he spilled his coffee right there and I was pissed for 5 seconds, but now that's a great memory I can look back on and that's there forever for as long as I have this couch.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. You started to notice all these like little characteristics in the couch, and I thought it was so cool. And I was like, yeah, I want that. I want that in my house.
Did you always just have that kind of modern?
No, I didn't always have that. It's for as long as I can remember. I was always specific about a lot of things. I was specific about clothing. So even when I was like 10 years old, my dad would just be like, I'm not going to pick out your clothes for you because whatever I pick out, you're not going to like. So you just need to pick it out yourself. Mm-hmm. And I remember I used to put model cars together when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And you would paint and glue them all together. And I was so specific about which cars I really wanted to do. Like I would just end up doing Porsche 911s over and over and over again. And I'm still obsessed with Porsches and Porsche 911s. That's why I love driving by the Porsche mechanic on Hyperion, because it's just a line of Porsches, and it's just like, it's my favorite thing to do is just to drive by and look at all those. Yeah, I don't know if I always was into it. I think the influence came from our friend group more than anything. Mm-hmm. When I became friends with Michael and Lola, and I met like Kirill and Alicia and Preston and Jess, and yourself, like we all have a very similar aesthetic and taste when it comes to items in our house. Like
just made my day.
It's true though.
That's the case.
No, it's absolutely true. Like if you look at even like our planters for our pots, for our plants, they're all very specific as to like you have a lot of Gainey in here.
Yeah, I guess so. Huh?
We all have a lot of Gainey or architectural pottery or case studies. That's kind of what it was. Is it was like, oh, that's really clean. That looks really, really good. I want that too. That's nice.
Huh. Yeah. It's the influence of your community and your friends.
Yeah.
That's nice. So how can we find Homebase?
You go to Instagram. It's Homebase LA. At Homebase LA, rather.
Cool.
And then the website is just www.homebase/la.com.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yeah, no problem. That was good.